Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Convery. This is the podcast that's your launchpad for career inspiration. I'm your host, Brian Convery, and around here we believe success isn't just about climbing that corporate ladder, it's sometimes about building your own jungle gym. Each episode, we share real stories from all kinds of careers, all different levels, to help you really design a career portfolio of sorts that fits you and your passions. Today's guest is someone who proves that passion isn't just about something you love, it's something you build with. Vasili Palantzas is a musician, educator, and a leader whose career has been shaped not by shortcuts, but by discipline, curiosity, and a deep respect for craft. From early practice rooms to leading ensembles, mentoring young musicians, and shaping the next generation of creative talent, Vasili's story is also about what happens when commitment meets creativity. This episode is for anyone navigating that nonlinear career path, building mastery over time, or just wondering what it's like to love, to do what they love and truly become part of their life's work. Vasili, welcome to Coffee with Convery.
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome. Thanks for being here today. Maybe just get started on some quick rapid fire questions just to get us warmed up and get the audience knowing a little bit more about you. What do you consider your superpower?
Huh. Uh, Probably I can learn instruments really quickly.
All
Just
instruments. Yeah.
yeah, if you give me a week, I can probably get pretty good at.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's strange because I don't consider myself a prodigy by any means, as I'm not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be not in Canada. I'd be right. But yeah, I have a natural affinity just for learning new
Awesome.
instruments. So yeah, I learn them pretty quick, and it's
So what do you play now? Like all different.
So let's see. I'll start just the order of, I guess, proficiency. So trombone, because that's my main.
Yeah.
Bass, guitar, piano, tuba, trumpet, baritone, French horn, a little bit of drums, and a bunch of synthesizers. So that's right now. Oh, and darbuka from Turkey. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's impressive. Like
and
you're a one
yeah,
person band.
yeah. And I started Mongolian throat singing just because it's an interesting thing to do. So yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. That's so cool. Yeah, that's a superpower. School, a lot of the people in this listening audience are in school or whether it's high school, university, college, or thinking about going off to school. What was your favorite subject in school? I think I know the answer, but
Well, I'm gonna put.
maybe not.
I mean, aside from music, right? Like that's
There, I
that's
was
the
gonna
easy
say.
answer. That's the easy answer. Oh, music. Yeah, okay. But but probably history. Honestly, I'm a history buff.
Okay.
If I didn't do this, I'd probably be working like in a museum somewhere, doing history things. Because
Awesome.
yeah, no, because I studied like I took a bunch of ancient Greek and Roman history courses in university as well, just as an interdisciplinary thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
yeah,
history teaches us a lot too, right? Of
yeah, it's important. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to know these things.
absolutely. Absolutely. First jobs, we all start somewhere. What was one of your first jobs?
Uh, I worked at Longo's in the dairy department. So
All right.
those of you not in Canada, Longo's is like a very it's like I guess it's a luxury. It's a luxury grocery store. I guess it is, but
Yeah.
it's probably some of the best produce that you'll find though at a grocery store. To be fair,
Yeah.
so they can justify their prices, and that's where my dad works. He's been in that company for like a lot of years now.
Nice.
So yeah,
So you started out there in the dairy department. If you had
the dairy
to
department.
describe yourself maybe in one word, what would it be?
Yeah. Ambitious,
Ambitious. Okay.
ambitious probably.
Awesome. So I always like to take the guest back a little bit, thinking about before teaching, before the podium and leadership and things like that. What was your first relationship with music like?
Um,
Started young or yeah.
yeah, it started young. Um, I so everyone in my family, all cousins and even some uncles, we were all hockey people. Like we all played. I wasn't particularly good. I was okay. I had my strengths, but I wasn't gonna go as far as some of my cousins were trying to go. And I think one of my dad's cousins was supposed to be drafted by the NHL, but he had an injury, and then
Wow.
his wife got pregnant, so he just okay, that's not gonna happen. So he was the closest out of any, and then they got injuries, right? And then I just didn't want to do it. It's not worth it. It became not cost effective to do hockey.
Yeah.
So music wasn't at my forefront, but I'm a huge movie nerd. Like I'm very much in the film space. So I started paying attention to film scores. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that sounds I like the music. What's going on? And I was young, right? So then, music sounds cool. Yeah, I didn't really process that it was supposed to go. It's supposed to enhance what you're seeing and help you feel the emotion you're supposed to feel, right? So
Yeah.
but then, so that's where it started. And then my dad got me a guitar just because he wanted me to learn classical guitar. So I studied with angry Ukrainian teacher, and then she was great though. And then got me an electric guitar, and then I realized I could probably do this for real if I stick with it.
Yeah.
And then that was really my first kind of beginnings of music is cool and I like it.
How did it shift from there to like enjoying it to moving? I don't want to say taking it seriously, but like moving it into the next level of where you are now with it.
Um, I think once so in grade 7, I was assigned so we had to pick 3 instruments we wanted to play. I picked tenor sax because I wanted to play tenor sax. I think it was like drums, and then trombone, and then I was put on the trombone because whatever, my teacher picked it, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just do this. What I realized was I was actually getting good at it really quickly. And then all of a sudden I was the best player in the school, and then in the high school, and all of a sudden I'm the best player in the high school. Then I go to my audition at university at York, and I got in the same day, and I'm like, okay, this is real. And then I find out Ron Westray, from which you're probably familiar with, Jazz at Lincoln Center, coming from North Texas,
Yeah.
teach here, be the Oscar producing chair, and he played with Winton for whatever it was, 20, 30 years, right? So,
Wow.
and I was like, okay, so now I can learn from probably one of the best trombone players in the world, and yeah, I thought about, because I had some options, right? There's like medical school was something I was considering, and then
Okay.
law school was something I was considering because my mom worked in a law firm for years as
Paralegal.
a law clerk. A law clerk. Yeah. So, she, she got me into that type of that mindset, and I was interested in it. Like, okay, cool. I could do entertainment law, and then even medical school because I like puzzles and solving things, and then that's kind of what a doctor. And but
Yeah.
yeah, but then I realized I could probably do music for real, and I was never a kid who practiced as much as he should have. I always tell my students I'd probably be in a better spot, even more successful, had I practiced more when I was younger. I practice enough now where like it's efficient. Like I learned to practice efficiently. So
Mhm.
I'll talk about that later, but I learned to practice just like efficiently so I can maximize my time, and that's why I'm able to be where I am. But I tell like if you, it's up to you. Like, if you want to practice for an hour a day or 2 hours a day, you're gonna go far. You don't want to practice, then you're gonna go where you go, and it's either here, 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 here. And that's So it was right around high school, and then I realized I could probably be doing this for real. And then my high school teacher was actually the director of the Navy band out in HMCS York, so he was
Okay.
away a lot for obligations because it's military obligations. You have to, and then oftentimes the supply teacher has no idea what's going on. So I would be conducting the class, right? So give the baton, and so I realized, okay, I should probably be doing this. So I started picking up students when I was like 15, and then from there it became a thing.
Wow.
I learned how to conduct at a young age, right? So as all conductors usually do. So yeah, and then I've been doing it ever since. It's been
It's so interesting because it's like I know people always some people always say like I kind of fell into my career. I fell into but conductor is like a I don't know. To me, it's such a foreign thing that how do you fall into becoming a conductor?
so it's strange, right? So Gustavo Dudamel, when he was younger, I guess a conductor in Argentina or wherever I think wherever he's from. Is it? I can't remember which one though. Anyway, whatever. It's just I have to tell me. Wherever he was growing up,
Yeah.
the conductor that was sick and he filled in, and then he took his job, and then
See?
now he's probably one of the best conductors in the world right now, right?
Yeah.
Leonard Bernstein, same thing, right? Guy was sick, never relinquished the job, and Leonard Bernstein is the single most important person in music history, at least in contemporary, right? That period of time, his conducting and his writing, it's just almost second to none, right? So,
Yeah.
and the way he would lead ensemble. So, yeah, you just kind of do it. It just and then it's hard to do it. That's a hard job to do full time. You have to really, really get lucky in that. Um,
Yeah. Because opportunities are few and far between
yeah,
too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it depends. I have lots of I have a few friends who've done it for a while, and then they're never able to do it at a global level, and I do it at a more local level, but uh, it's either playing or they get into production or they get into a different corporate career. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
had a lot of colleagues of mine just end up not doing music
Really.
because they they maximized. I guess they reached the end of what they were able to do, and then they so
Yeah.
yeah. But me, yeah, it just happened organically. It was just
It's
because
amazing.
yeah.
But you also stepped in. Like I think that's a big lesson for a lot of listeners is you see an opportunity, step into it, right?
Yeah, I would, when I found out, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then I realized I was good at it. Like I knew I could
Yeah.
visualize what I wanted, and then, or what my
Play
teacher
to your
wanted,
strengths.
right? Yeah, even
Yeah.
what, Mr. T, we always called him because his name was like a to manager, but it was like spelled, yeah, but it was spelled weird, so we always called him Mr. T. Um, shout out to Jack to manager, right?
There you
so,
go.
yeah, so yeah, he would let me conduct when he was away, and it was great. And then even for the musicals that we did in high school, I was in the pit orchestra, but even when he was away, I would run the rehearsal. So it was okay. Right?
Was
So
there
yeah,
a moment where like things didn't go as planned, maybe as like a setback or performance? And did you, if there was, what did you learn from that too?
yeah. Well, that happens almost all the time. There's more
Yeah.
failure in my industry than there is success. It's the success rate's probably really low in
Yeah.
terms of overall. But like big moments, maybe getting rejected from my from a PhD program 3 times. They didn't. I tried to alter my research 3 years, and it's the problem. It's not even my fault. It's just you
The
have to have something.
competitiveness.
Yeah, and you have to have something really, really interesting and original for them to take you on,
Okay.
because you're creating new research is what you're doing, and people don't realize that. If you want to go for, you make sure. So what I realized was, okay, I'm gonna take advice from Ron Westray, and just he always say he has like a PhD in roadness, which is like just being on the road and being a musician. That's his PhD. That's what he always told me. So that's what I'm just gonna gain that experience doing these different things, and when I find research that I think is beneficial, maybe I'll do it again when I'm older, and then write essentially a book or a dissertation on that. Right.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see what comes to that. But that was probably the moment where I was like, oh, I'm not good enough for this. But and then I started to realize it's not really about that. It's just my research isn't interesting, or it's already been done too many times, because I was going to deeply analyze 2 films. Actually, no, it started out as one that I also did, but I was going to deeply analyze the Lord of the Rings film score in its entirety, all of Howard
Wow.
Shore's everything, all the hours of music, and its psychological purpose. and then just focus on scenes and just write like do chapters each with a scene or like a theme. But it's been done, right? So my angle from it wasn't interesting enough.
I see.
And then I was okay. Maybe I'll. What if I talk about Lord and Star Wars? And not enough people are talking about psychological music. They just know, oh, it's really cool music, but no one's really going into the emotional because you don't really think about it as being an emotional score in real time. It's an action. It's a sci-fi fantasy score, but when you boil it down, like when you really listen to it, it becomes this. It's an emotional journey that John Williams is taking you on as you watch these weird things on screen. So,
That's interesting. I never thought of it
yeah,
that way. Like it's telling its own story.
right. So that's not interesting enough. Okay. And then Michael Coughlin, why don't you try doing it through this program? Like, no, I kind of want to do it through music. I don't want like a liberal arts type of. I wanted it to be a music. I want that to show up on my. He's like, okay, well, you need more interesting research. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see. It's not. I'm not shutting the door on it, but I realize I don't need it to feel validated as a musician. I don't need it, and it's for people who want to be professors, and maybe I do, but I don't need it.
Maybe
in my
it'll
life.
come at a just different time.
Well, that's it, right? Like I have to keep building my life experience, and then
Exactly.
that's what those PhDs are based on, is your own life experience, and then
100%.
you're writing
So
about that.
I have a question about leadership through music. So you don't just perform, you lead, teach, and shape environments for others. So what has music taught you about leadership that traditional classrooms and workplaces often don't?
Um, hmm. Well, I'm gonna be careful how I say this.
Yeah, yeah, it's
In
fine.
terms of classroom, I find in the public system, and people may disagree with me on this. This is just
Hey,
my.
it's
I
your,
just want to preface that. This is just me how I think about it.
yeah, yeah, all
I
good.
think, and maybe teachers have the same feeling, and they're trying to to work around it. I feel the at least in the public setting, the education system, the curriculum is what it's too focused on that preset curriculum,
Yeah,
and
programmed, very
you
programmed.
have to learn this, you have to learn this, you have to learn this, and you watch these video clips of people often, why don't they ever teach you guys how to do taxes? And then, well, some schools do. To be fair, some schools will, like some teachers will find a way to here. This is how you fight. Like this is what taxes are. But okay,
This is budgeting. This is how you do life skills, right?
exactly,
But
exactly.
few and
But
far between for sure.
right, so it's less about life, more about meeting the curriculum standards, because
Yeah,
they have to. They're
yeah,
working within the system that they were sworn to, because that's their teachers' college. You know, I know here in Canada we have to teachers' college. You have to get a certificate. I don't know how it is in the States. I don't think it's like that. I don't think you need a teaching certificate in the States necessarily. I don't know. I could be
yeah,
wrong. You probably know better than I will, but
yeah,
yeah. Um, but here we have to go through the teachers college. You do placement, and then so, which I didn't do. So I've only
yeah.
taught. I've been familiar with the public sector. I've only taught in the private. I taught in IB school. I built a music program from scratch,
Wow.
and I made sure to teach. Yes, the curriculum, because we have to stay IB accredited. I had to make sure I was following. But I built my own where it became about life, and I would do these. And these are kids kindergarten to grade like 8, and then some.
Okay.
I had taught some of the high school courses as well, but what I would do is give them seminars. So I play a video documentary of some kind, whatever it was, of some point, and then I talk about this is their life experience, and I want you to understand. We're not going to talk about their music career. We're going to talk about their life and how that shaped.
Yep.
So I think it's music to me teaches you about life, and you'll get out of your life what you put into it, just like you'll get out of music what you put into it. Um, and you're not always going to achieve the success you dream about in your head. It just doesn't happen that way.
I,
Which is, but in school, at least when I was growing up, if you do your homework and you get good grades, you're gonna have a good good job, a career, because you're going to go
Well,
to
you're
good college.
memorizing, spitting out information.
Right, and you're gonna have a good college. You're gonna go to a good college and get a good job, and you're gonna be
Yeah,
a CEO. And it's like, okay, like relax. It doesn't always work out that way.
right.
Right?
Exactly. And
So
people learn differently. That's why I think, I don't know, I just think music in those settings could bring so much more to the table from a learning experience where,
yeah,
like you just said what you said about music and not just the music itself, but the person's story through the music. Like it
yes,
tells, and I think that's something that gets overlooked, or even some of the programs now I've seen and where music gets cut from the thing because there's not enough money for everything or
yeah,
whatever. And it's like, no, but the arts bring so much more to the table from a learning and life experience. I think people are
yeah,
missing that.
and even leadership too. Like,
Yeah.
so this is a very unforgiving industry, and one thing you learn as a conductor is you're responsible for whatever number of musicians it is sitting in front of you.
How many is it on a
It
stage?
would depends,
100?
right? So I've conducted a group of like 40 plus 80, right? Orchestra, concert band,
Wow.
um, and they're responsible for their parts, but you're the sum of all those parts,
Right.
and you're not just waving your hand around like Harry Potter doing incantations. It's and there is meter, and we did learn what all the movements mean, whatever, but
It's almost like another language.
it is, and but those what you'll find is if you're watching some of these conductors, they don't follow that in a traditional sense. They follow it depending what's going on in the phrasing of the music. So I always tell people, don't just do this, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. That's basic. Go watch Gustavo Dudamel and tell me how many times he does this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very sometimes, but
Yeah.
oftentimes, you'll see him following the violin and he's shaking his hand because he wants. This is what he wants. He went da, 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 right. You watch Leonard Bernstein rehearsing Rite of Spring, and the strings are right. Those down bows in that, but he's da, 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 right.
Yeah.
And it looks funny to us, but it's this is what we want. So
It's
the
a
leadership,
language.
right? The leadership aspect. If you don't do that, you're not going to get anything, right? So I've made all kinds of strange faces, and I look angry, and right, but my arms moving, and I have shoulder pain from years of doing it. So,
Yeah,
but
I bet.
it's you have to just take it on, and you have to lead. You just have to. You can't be afraid. And I learned to do that when I was 15 years old, man. It's just
Wow.
like I have to lead these kids who are my peers, but now I'm superior to them in this moment, and I have to
Yeah.
embrace that. I can't, and they have to understand it, and they did for the most part. No one ever gave me a hard time when I was younger, just because they knew I was okay. Well, he's better than all of us, so so yeah, that, and then even being a player and then being in your section, right? Someone's got to take charge there. Like someone has to know where you are in the music at all
Yeah.
times. Like someone's got you have, it's almost like herding cats, right? So you got to
Yeah.
make sure all the cats are. So,
Hard to come together.
yeah. So you just have to take someone. You just learn really quickly. You have to take control
I
of.
tell like young people all the time because I talk to a lot of students and people that will come to me asking questions. And what are your thoughts around creative skills translating into quote unquote the real world? Because I think we miss that. We grow up as kids as curious. We grow up wanting to learn, and then we get into this. Not maybe not necessarily in the arts and stuff, but where sometimes we get into this conformity of like this is the way, this is the programmed way. And I think I'm curious on your point of view on like how creative skills can translate to help you in other things like, showing up differently and, discipline, listening, collaboration, all those things. What's your view on that with and these young kids need to pay attention if they got that.
Yeah.
Run with it. Don't
It's
push it down.
it's true. I always, it's funny because as a history person, and just I always look at music successes around the world and the places in the world that tend to churn out the best young musicians. And I look at some places in the States where it's super, like marching band, especially like our marching band life down there is, it's crazy. Like you go to UC, like LA, right? The Blue Devils, that's the top of the top right there. Those guys win every year. And then I look at places like Japan, China. I have a lot of students who come from China. One of my
Okay.
students now, I'm not going to say her name or anything, but one of my students now, they are French horn. And, when they came to me, they had heard about me, whatever, my reputation. I said, okay, how long have you been playing? 8 years. Okay. What do you know how to play? I know how to play this concerto, this concerto, this. Okay. Now, keep in mind, they're in grade 9. And they've put multiple concertos under the belt. So I got them interested in Toronto Youth Wind Orchestra. So Tywell, Colin Clark over there. I got them to audition for that. They auditioned for TSYO, lost out to some grade 12 kid on the French horn, unfortunately. So I told them that was probably going to happen. I said, listen, you're going to sound great. There's probably going to be some older kid they're going to take because they want
Yeah.
the university prep, and that's what they want, right? That's usually what, sometimes they'll take the older. And then they're, now they're thinking about doing competitions, and they can do it for real. But places like that in Europe and Asia especially, I find there's just, because the culture, so disciplined in whatever they're doing over in, right? Whatever your craft is, that's what you're focused on, and it translates into like everything, music, and then in life you're disciplined. So, and then there's some countries, but on the flip side of that, there's some countries where there's no sense of urgency, but the musicians are still. But because there's no sense of urgency, they feel like they always have the time to work on it. So then you get that relaxation. So even though there's multiple ways to look at it, no matter around the, so for me, like, just staying focused was the big thing for me.
Yeah.
Getting into a focused, right? When I'm playing, I'm focused on this, and I'm super professional person, and I'm doing my job. And then when I'm conducting, I'm focused on this. I don't care if you're my friend. I don't care. Right? You could be my wife in the orchestra. It doesn't matter. Right now, I'm maestro. You're musician. So it's not necessarily compartmentalizing, but just understanding the task at hand. Right.
Right.
Collaboration is an important one. You learn how to do that, and that's a huge life skill because you're collaborating all the time with everybody out in the world. Listening, right? Listening's a big one, right? Not enough people listen. If more people listened, we might not have the world as it is today, and what's going on out there politically, and confusing Greenland for Iceland, and right. So, but yeah, you just and then it's weird in a way because music is very math based. So math helps you with music, but music also helps you with math.
Interesting.
Which then you apply in real world. So they both kind of help each other. Because anyone who doesn't like math goes to learn a music. You're learning math, and then maybe next time you take a math class, you're going to do better in math. Or if you're really good at math and you go study an instrument, you're going to find you're going to learn the instrument quickly. You're going to be good at music because you're very good at math. So when you get into subdivisions and advanced meter, you're going to know that already, right? Because you can do your fractions, right? This is just this. So so it's I'd say discipline listening. Those are the two big ones that show up most often. Certainly discipline. And just when I look around, I always want to go. I want to spend some time in Japan and China, just taking in the music culture there because it is so disciplined, and all my students that come from there, they're just so focused on what they're doing.
It's interesting.
And in South Korea, I run a marching band for cadets, and one of the cadets learned trumpet. Wanted to join the band before they graduated the program. They were, they hadn't ever joined the band in the previous years in the training program. But then they were level 5. They wanted to join. They practiced the trumpet for 4 hours a day in South Korea over a summer, and he was really good by the time he came back. Right, so I want to do this. I'm going to spend I want to do this. I'm going to spend all this time doing this. I have now mastered this. and they move
Yeah,
on to the next thing, right? So it's like, okay,
that's awesome.
yeah. So that's what music can do for you. It really just teach you to focus and finish a project.
100%. I also want to ask you this question because I think especially today, and you probably see it with some of your students too, and maybe not in the world of I'm curious though, but is this comparison thing. Like everyone's trying to compare their journey to other journeys, or well, they're here in their career and I'm not there yet. Or how did you learn to trust your own pace and not compare your journey to either others on the same path in music or doing other things in life? Like, how did you learn to trust your own self there? Or did you compare?
You compare naturally.
Yeah, I think it's a human
Like,
thing.
I always compared myself to my old colleague, who I would say was superior to me on the trombone.
Hmm?
Certainly, he could do things. I'm like, okay, I can't do that. But then again, I'm a bass trombone player, so it's a little bit different than tenor trombone. So there's a little bit different strengths and weaknesses. But he could do things that I couldn't do. Certainly, we would all compare ourselves to our friend Abraham, who came from, I think it was Barbados, and those guys are all, they could play circles around everybody, and he could, even Ron Wester was like, I have nothing to teach him. What am I going to teach him that he doesn't already know, just from his life experience? Um, um, so you can't help but compare. I would say that don't let that dictate how you assess where you are,
Hmm. Okay,
because your own path is your own path, and trying to compare,
that's right.
I'll never be as good as Ron Westray, because Ron Westray is always getting better. So how can I? It's good to maybe aspire to that task, knowing that you'll probably never succeed in it, but you'll still do the journey anyway.
Yeah, aspiring's good. It stretches you, right?
Right.
I just think this in this generation now, there's so much with social media and comparing where like that whole thing that sometimes it's just a bunch of noise and you just need to shut it off, right?
Yeah.
And trust your own
Exactly.
instinct.
Yeah. So comparison, everyone in music's comparing everyone to everyone, and then you're comparing yourself to this, but you know, that's cool. Like, but that's always gonna happen in my industry. People compare Led Zeppelin and the Beatles. People compare Rolling
That's true.
Stones and the Beatles. People compare Beach Boys and the Beatles, right? And there's certainly the Beach Boys and the Beatles, because those are the two that came up around the same time, and it was like, oh, okay. But
Yeah, that's
the
true.
truth is, Paul McCartney was absolutely in love with Brian Wilson and his songwriting, and considered Brian Wilson a superior songwriter to him and John, right? So,
Yeah,
and maybe he was. I would argue that there was no one as innovative as Brian Wilson in that
yeah,
era for songwriting. Like, what he did on Pet Sounds is never going to be done again ever.
yeah.
So
Amazing.
yeah,
What's your
so
advice for someone starting out in music or the arts or maybe any career like around like what do you think matters? I mean, as far as mindset or whatever when it's sort of starting out, like what should they be thinking about?
um, in a career in the arts, I like to you. What I would say is, make sure you're doing it for yourself
Huh.
at all times,
Okay. Yeah.
because you don't know what your audience is yet. You
Hmm.
don't have one.
Right.
You are your audience. So make sure you like what you're doing,
Great advice.
because music has to be self fulfilling. It just has to.
Yeah.
I always talk about Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, and my interpretation of his end of life was he stopped doing it for himself,
Hmm.
and I don't think he was able to reconcile what that means for him. And
Mm-hmm.
he had a lot of other problems, but just you read the note, and we won't go too much into it because it's a depressing topic. But I always interpret it as he didn't know how to exist in a world where he wasn't making music for himself, and it was just better not to be in the world anymore.
Right.
So what I would say, and that, you know, make sure that you're making music for yourself when you start, because that's the only way you're going to find fulfillment in it. Because you're not going to make money.
Yeah.
You're not going to travel the world. That happens to 1% of musicians, right? It's like maybe 1%. You're not going to be walking red carpets, or you're not going to win an Oscar anytime soon. So
Yep.
just write for yourself, make music for yourself, cover a song for yourself.
Makes sense.
You like Yngwie Malmsteen? Okay, go play Yngwie Malmsteen for yourself. Go learn how to play and shred on the guitar like Yngwie Malmsteen, because that's the guy everyone should go learn how to shred on. Horrible personality, very good musician. Right? So, that would be the biggest thing when you're first starting out. And just, and even in any career, right? Make sure you want to do that for you.
Yeah.
Right? Are you doing it because you want to make money for your family? Okay, but are you going to be happy?
Right.
Because that's going to affect the way you work.
Absolutely.
Right? There are people who love the corporate setting. There are people who thrive and they love working in a corporate setting because they're working for a company that's servicing a greater population, and that's great. And then they're getting that self-fulfillment. But in the arts, you're creating from scratch, right? You're not right now when you're starting, you're not part of a cog in the machine. You are the machine.
Very true.
Right? Eventually, when you do it seriously, you'll become just a small cog in the machine, and that's great. And it won't. But I don't want to confuse it with a corporate setting. But the noise are a little bit similar in terms of structure, right? But before you become a cog in the machine, make sure that you enjoy the machine, and then you'll want to be part of a larger machine when you get older and doing it more seriously, and then that's where you'll find success.
So important. Such a great perspective on that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you too on, because influencers are big in all areas of our lives, but what would you tell I'm going to focus on parents mostly now, and maybe adults and parents, is about nurturing potential, because I think sometimes they can get in the way of that. And if this is what their kid, child, whatever it wants to do, they might not be choosing the path that the parent wants them to do. But how can the parents reprogram to like nurture the potential better than trying to refocus maybe them?
Yeah. What I will say is I don't have children myself, so I'm not.
I don't
going
either,
to,
so that's why I'm asking. But
yeah, I'm not going to even pretend to put myself in a parent's shoes.
Sure.
And there are cultural things that impact decisions like that. Certainly, part of my master's research when I was getting my master's, I ended up looking at some of that, like, music in certain parts of the world that's not considered a good job. So it's tough. But that said, outside of that, and I can certainly respect and understand a cultural aspect to it.
Sure.
But what I will say is there are two ways. I always stress this to parents, and every time I get a new student, I tell the parent this right off the bat. Okay? You need to be honest with your child about what you're hearing at home if they're practicing. And your child is not guaranteed to be some superstar. And they're most certainly not the best. So I think parents need to be more honest with their kids about certain things. Every parent, because there are parents who really want their kids to be like a pop star. And I see it all the time. And then I run at my teaching studio in Richmond Hill. I run a band program. It's an advanced band program, so I handpick all the musicians. There's younger bands, but I run the one that's oldest, and I handpick the people. Normally, we just assign the kids. They register for the band program, and they just get put in a band based on personality and instrument, and if they have some friends. I go through a short list with the front desk people. Okay, this person would be good. This person would be good. Let's give them a call, invite them. And I found, and then 1 year I had a mother request. She really wants to play with Vasili in his band, and I was like, oh, because I knew right away. And I had heard her sing before, and my opinion was no one was being honest enough with this child
Yeah.
about her singing. So I took her on because whatever, let's see what
Yep.
happens. And I was honest with her, and then she is like night and day fixed. Right, this kid couldn't even tell me what an octave was. She couldn't identify an octave. I had her sing the first two notes of "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." And I said, "What interval did you just sing?" "I don't know." "Oh God." And
Hmm.
you're gonna sing. We're gonna play King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. We're gonna play like Jefferson Airplane. We're gonna play like Dream Theater, and you can't, right? So I told her, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, you don't sing very well. Here's how we fix it. So as it relates to parents and adults, if you're be honest with your child, or whoever your guardianship over, it doesn't have to be your child, but while being honest, provide solutions. Either here's how we fix it, or let's try something else.
Mm.
Whether it's a different instrument, or let's try visual art. Let's try,
Right.
because not everyone is meant to be a musician. Not everyone has the knack for it. Uh, not everyone is just meant to be a musician,
Yeah.
and it's cool to go try it, but you have to make a decision quicker than some people do, because it's stressful for the kid to be at a lesson where they're not enjoying themselves, and it's annoying for the teacher, but it's particularly stressful for the child, because
100%.
you could tell they don't want to be there, but the
Yeah.
parent really wants them, and sometimes parents will treat these places like, I'm gonna go shopping for 30 minutes. I'm gonna drop my kid off at the music lessons. I can go shopping for 30 minutes, or go get groceries. And it's like, okay, and I hate to say that, but it's true. Some parents do treat it like that, and they have no, make sure you know what your child, or the person you're taking, wants out of this. If
That's
they
right.
want to, if they want to learn it for school, that's different, right? They have to learn it for school. Okay, then they'll take it seriously because they have to learn it for school, and they want to get better for school. That's
Yeah.
great. A lot of my students come to, they have problems at school, so I fix their problem. But don't force your child to do these things. I was kind of forced to learn classical guitar. I ended up okay. I just because I ended up liking it. So
Right.
if you're gonna force your kid to try it, fine, but and then give it time, okay. But then
Recognize
make
the
it
signs.
right. Recognize the signs. If it's not happening after a month, 2 months, then
Yeah.
okay, maybe it's time for a new instrument or a new medium to get your creative, outlet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and then you can't. It's not gonna happen in a week. Don't rush, right? Like I said, give it time. You're not gonna see results in a week
Yeah.
unless they've already played the instrument, right? So, it's gonna take time. And the only way
100%.
you'd see results in a week is if they're child prodigy or they practice like 4 hours every day. then
Yeah.
you'll certainly see results in a week, sure, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would just say just honesty is the best thing as a parent, as
I
a
think
guardian.
that's so key, and you nailed it with that. This has been such a fascinating conversation, and I've learned so much myself around thinking about some of these things differently myself, as I'm sure the listeners are. Getting close to the end, I just wanted to see if there's anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to share, or if there's any parting advice or anything regarding anything you want to share.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
please
this
do.
one stuck with me. So while doom scrolling on TikTok one day,
Yeah,
and I'm not a fan of. I don't listen to Pitbull's music. For all account, all I hear about this guy, he's a really nice guy, but I'm just not a fan of his music. Okay, he's got really weird style. But I saw a TikTok, and it was just like he said, "Short steps, long vision, slow but for show." Right? That's what he said. Slow, short steps, long. And the problem is a lot of people do it the opposite way. Short vision, long steps. So what I would say to anyone trying to get into a career in the arts: short steps, long vision. There are people who become famous in their 20s and they go travel the world. That was in the 60s and 70s and 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s and 90s. It does not happen anymore. We live in a world of streaming. So it's the
that's
digital
right.
age. It's not the live age anymore. It's the digital age. Now, live shows I always recommend. Go to a live show. King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, my favorite band. That's one of the best live shows I've ever been to. Right? I'm obsessed with those guys. My guitarist in my band got me got me into them, and I've been obsessed ever since. And I always have it playing when I pick up my drummer from the train station, because he comes to the studio in Richmond Hill to practice with us because he's from downtown, right? So,
Yeah.
but we love it. We'll put on the live version. So slow but for sure. It's not going to happen overnight. It won't happen. I'm 35. I've had success in my own way. I'm not. I don't. I stopped thinking about the monetary value of success a long time ago,
Hmm.
because I can make a lot of money on one gig and no money on another.
Yeah.
And I all I care about is that I made money at some point doing this work. Someone had paid me for it.
Yeah.
And then someone had paid me, that same person would have paid me again to come back, which means they liked what I did. So as long as that's happening, you can have a career out of this. You have to make sacrifices,
Hmm.
right? I'm not living in some fancy penthouse in downtown Toronto. I don't have a Ferrari. I don't have a place in LA or a condo in Manhattan. Right? I'm not traveling the world, but where I am, I'm happy. I make,
Good for you.
I make money, and I'm focused on what I'm doing, which is helping young minds become how to think about music differently.
That's
So
awesome.
that's my biggest advice: short steps, long vision. Take your time.
I love that. I love that.
music doesn't really have retirement. Chuck Berry was playing till the day he died.
Exactly.
Right? Every Wednesday
Exactly.
when he was old, every Wednesday at some diner he was playing every Wednesday. Now, it didn't for what I heard, didn't sound at the end. It didn't
That's
sound
good.
particularly good, but it's Chuck Berry. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Right. So,
Oh,
uh,
cool.
but yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great advice. First of all, thank you so much for doing this podcast because
Sure.
this is exactly the lessons and thoughts that inspire our listeners. And you remind us about this, about repetition and patience and believing in the journey. But thank you, like seriously, thank you so much for your willingness to be a part of this and share
No,
your story and insights with the audience. I really appreciate it.
yeah, no, it was a good conversation. I enjoyed it. And it's not, I don't always get to talk about this stuff because I'm always so
Yeah,
focused on the regiment, and we have this, we have this. I have competitions to prepare for the marching band, and that takes up a lot of time. And
I bet. I bet. Well, thank you again. Like this
yeah,
has been like I know it's a time from you and but I can see the impact you're having through music on yourself and on everyone else that gets to hear your craft and the help you give all these young people. So thanks again, and I really appreciate it.
yeah, no worries, man.
To all our listeners, if this podcast moved you, share it with a friend. Subscribe to the Coffee with Convery podcast at coffeewithconvery.com. You can also follow us on Instagram where we have clips and behind the scenes talks with different guests that will help you in thinking through your journey and what that might look like. This is Coffee with Convery again, where we remind you that the success isn't always about climbing some ladder or corporate ladder. Sometimes it's about building your own jungle gym.